I was banned from my sister's wedding. That's what my mom told me. Banned. Until I apologized and agreed to give my sister $30,000 as a wedding gift. $30,000. So I showed up anyway, with a gift that publicly humiliated them both and exposed exactly what my family thought I was worth. What happened next destroyed their perfect day. If you've ever been treated like a walking ATM by your own family, this story is for you. Hit that like button if you believe boundaries matter more than keeping the peace. And subscribe because we're diving deep into family betrayal and the sweetest revenge imaginable. My name is Linda, and for most of my adult life I've been the responsible one, the one who saves, plans, invests, the boring sister. While Karen collected designer handbags like trophies and lived off our mother Susan's endless generosity, I built my career as an architect from the ground up. Late nights hunched over blueprints, weekends studying for licenses, years of carefully budgeting every dollar while my sister posted Instagram stories from Bali, Milan, Paris. I never resented it. Not really. Karen was Karen, vivacious, impulsive, perpetually convinced that life owed her luxury. And our mother enabled every bit of it. Susan had always favored Karen's sparkle over my steadiness, but I'd made peace with it. I had my own life, my own accomplishments, my own quiet pride in the 6-figure savings account I'd built without anyone's help. Then Karen got engaged to Michael, a finance guy with family money and an ego to match. The announcement came over brunch at some overpriced bistro downtown, the kind of place where a single mimosa costs what I used to spend on groceries for a week back in my 20s. We're doing something totally unique for our registry, Karen gushed, her engagement ring catching the light like a disco ball. It was enormous, vulgar, honestly. We're not asking for physical gifts. We want experiences, memories. I nodded politely, sipping my coffee. That's nice. Very modern. Susan beamed at her daughter like she'd just announced the cure for cancer. Isn't it brilliant? They're so evolved. Karen leaned forward, her eyes gleaming with that particular brand of excitement that had always preceded her most outrageous requests. And Linda, since you're doing so incredibly well as an architect now, we're all so proud of you. Mom and I figured you'd want to contribute something really meaningful. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. Something in her tone, in the calculated sweetness of it, set off alarm bells. Sure, I said carefully. What did you have in mind? The honeymoon suite upgrade at the resort in Santorini. She said it like she was offering me an honor. We're talking about the presidential suite. Private infinity pool, personal butler, the works. It's going to be absolutely magical, I smiled, doing the mental math. Santorini wasn't cheap, but a suite upgrade. Okay, what are we talking about here? 1,000? Maybe 2? Karen pulled out her phone with theatrical flourish, scrolled through her notes, and turned the screen toward me. Her perfectly manicured nail pointed at a number that made my vision blur. The final quote came to $30,000. The bistro noise faded. The clinking of silverware, the murmur of conversation, the acoustic guitar version of some pop song, all of it became white noise. I stared at that number, 6 digits including the cents, and felt something cold and sharp lodge itself in my chest. I laughed. I couldn't help it. It was either laugh or scream. Karen, that's not a gift. That's a down payment on a house. Her smile didn't waver. It's an investment in my happiness. It's more than I spent on my car, I said, my voice dropping to something dangerously calm. It's a year of retirement savings. Karen, this is insane. The warmth drained from her face like someone had pulled a plug. Insane? You think my wedding is insane? I think asking for $30,000 is insane, I clarified, very aware that Susan was watching this exchange with narrowing eyes. I'm happy to give you a generous gift. $500 cash. That's more than most family members give, $500. In any reasonable universe, that was a substantial gift, more than I'd received at my college graduation, more than I'd given at any other wedding I'd attended. Karen's expression transformed. The bubbly bride-to-be vanished, replaced by something cold and ugly. 500? Linda, I'm your only sister. This is the most important day of my life, and you're going to give me what you'd tip a waiter? I'm going to give you what I can afford to give without compromising my financial future, I said evenly. You mean what you're willing to give? She hissed. Admit it. You're jealous. You've always been jealous that I'm happy and beautiful, and now I'm getting married to an amazing man, and you can't stand it. So you're punishing me?" The accusation hung in the air like smoke. Susan reached over and squeezed Karen's hand, shooting me a look that could have frozen the sun. "Girls, let's not—" Susan started, but I was already standing, my appetite gone. "I'm not jealous, Karen. I'm just not an ATM. Congratulations on your engagement. Let me know if you want the 500. I left cash for my untouched eggs Benedict and walked out into the bright morning sunshine, my hands shaking with suppressed rage. The call came that evening. I was home, still processing the brunch disaster, when my phone lit up with Mom's name, Linda. Susan's voice was steel wrapped in velvet. "We need to talk about what happened today." "Mom, if this is about the money—" "Your sister is distraught," she cut in. Absolutely distraught. She told me she can't go through with her wedding knowing her own sibling prioritizes money over family. "Do you understand what you've done?" I pressed my fingers to my temple, feeling a headache blooming. "What have I done?" "Mom, she asked me for $30,000 like it was pocket change. I don't care about the details, Linda. I care about peace. I care about my daughter having the wedding she deserves without this cloud hanging over it." Susan's voice sharpened. "You're causing drama right before the most important day of her life. You need to fix this." "Fix what? My financial boundaries? You will call your sister tonight. You will apologize for your attitude, and you will agree to contribute a substantial amount to her wedding. Those are the terms." Something in her tone made my blood run cold. "And if I don't?" The silence stretched for 3 heartbeats, 4, 5. "Then you're uninvited. I won't have you there poisoning the atmosphere with your resentment and jealousy. Until you apologize and make this right, you're not welcome at Karen's wedding." The line went dead. I stood there in my living room, phone still pressed to my ear, feeling like I'd been sucker punched, uninvited, from my own sister's wedding. Because I wouldn't hand over the equivalent of a luxury car as a gift. The fury came then, cold and sharp and clarifying. This wasn't about money. This was about control. About Susan and Karen believing they could emotionally blackmail me into submission. About them thinking my bank account was their emergency fund, and my presence at family events was a privilege I had to purchase. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay awake staring at my ceiling, feeling the weight of decades of being the responsible one, the boring one, the one who was supposed to just smile and write checks and never demand respect in return. The next 2 weeks were psychological warfare. First came the texts from cousins. "Hey, are you coming to Karen's wedding? I heard there was some family drama." Innocent enough on the surface, but clearly fishing for details Karen had fed them, testing to see if I'd crack. Then the emails about the seating chart from Karen's wedding planner. "We need to finalize numbers. Please confirm your attendance status." Passive-aggressive reminders that I was causing logistical problems with my stubbornness. My Aunt Jennifer called, her voice dripping with concern. "Linda, honey, Susan told me about the situation. Don't you think you're being a little harsh?" "It's Karen's special day." I held firm. No calls, no apologies, no caving, but inside I was planning. 3 days before the wedding, I went to the bank. I withdrew $500 and asked for a specific denomination. Crisp, new $10 bills. 50 of them. The teller looked at me oddly but complied. That evening, I visited a specialty engraving shop downtown. The owner, an older man named Joseph, raised his eyebrows at my request but didn't ask questions. "A gold-plated key," I specified. "Small, decorative, and I need the number 500 engraved on it." "Just the number?" "Just the number. It cost me $85. Worth every penny." The night before the wedding, I carefully arranged the 50 $10 bills in a beautiful gift box, stacked neatly with the engraved key resting on top. I handwrote a note on expensive cardstock. For the key to my wallet. The maximum capacity of my goodwill. My hands didn't shake. My resolve didn't waver. I felt calm, purposeful, like an architect finalizing blueprints for a building that would stand for generations. At 9 p.m., my phone rang. "Susan." "Linda." She sounded exhausted. "The wedding is tomorrow. This is your last chance. Just apologize to your sister. Tell her you'll give the money, or you'll find a way. Just fix this so you can attend. It looks terrible that you're not coming. People are asking questions. I paused, letting the silence stretch. I won't apologize for my financial boundaries, Mom, but I will come to the wedding. You'll... What? I'll be there, and I'll give Karen my gift. Tell her I'm sorry for any disappointment I've caused. I could hear the relief in Susan's exhale. Thank God, Linda, I knew you'd come around. This is the right thing. She had no idea. I dressed immaculately. Navy blue dress, perfectly tailored. Hair professionally styled. Makeup understated but flawless. I looked like money, like success, like someone who absolutely could afford a $30,000 gift, but was choosing not to give it. The wedding was at a country club, all white columns and manicured lawns. I arrived 15 minutes before the ceremony, fashionably late enough to make an entrance. Susan intercepted me immediately, her eyes blazing despite her frozen smile. You need to apologize to your sister right now, she hissed, reaching up to adjust my collar like I was a child. And you need to look sincere. I found Karen in the bridal suite, surrounded by bridesmaids. Her eyes were red-rimmed. Whether from happy tears or disappointed rage, I couldn't tell. The room went silent when I entered. Karen, I said clearly, pitching my voice just loud enough for everyone to hear. I am truly sorry that my personal financial decisions have caused you and Mom so much disappointment. I hope that the tremendous happiness you clearly deserve surrounds you today. It wasn't an apology for setting a boundary. It was an apology for failing to be their ATM. Karen, desperate to end the drama and save face in front of her bridesmaids, nodded curtly. Then, I handed her the beautifully wrapped box. Small, elegant, tied with silk ribbon. My gift to you. Thank you, she said stiffly, setting it aside. I'll open it later, of course. Enjoy your day. The ceremony was beautiful. Generic, but beautiful. Karen and Michael exchanged vows under a flower arch that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. I sat in the back row, watching, waiting. I stayed for the first round of photos, enough to be seen, enough to prove I'd attended. Then I slipped out during the cocktail hour, long before the reception speeches and dinner service. I was home, shoes off, glass of wine in hand, when my father David called. He'd been traveling for work, arriving just in time for the wedding itself, so he'd missed most of the family drama. Linda, he said, and I could hear the barely suppressed laughter in his voice. She found it. Found what? I asked innocently. The key. The stack of tens. She opened your gift during the cocktail hour. Showed it to Susan first. I heard Susan actually gasp out loud. He chuckled, a sound of strained amusement mixed with genuine respect. Karen made a bit of a scene about how cheap the gift was, started ranting about $10 bills. But her friend Patricia, you remember Patricia? From college? She asked what the key meant. Karen had to read the note out loud. I closed my eyes, imagining it. For the key to my wallet. The maximum capacity of my goodwill. The room went absolutely silent, David continued. Everyone suddenly understood exactly what had happened. That your attendance had a literal price tag. That Karen had demanded it and you'd publicly, elegantly, refused to pay it. Linda, it was perfect. Brutal, but perfect. Susan tried calling that night. 15 times. I didn't answer. Karen sent a text at 2 a.m. You humiliated me at my own wedding. I will never forgive you, I typed back. I gave you exactly what I offered. You chose to make it about more. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. Mine came gold-plated and engraved. Did I miss the wedding reception? Yes. Do I regret it? Not even slightly. Because here's what I learned. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to play the game. Karen and Susan thought they could price my family membership at $30,000. They thought my love, my presence, my respect could be purchased with an ultimatum and some guilt trips. Instead, I showed them, and everyone at that wedding, that I couldn't be bought. That my money and my presence were two entirely separate things, and neither one was available for ransom. The fallout has been predictable. Susan sends occasional texts about healing the family. Karen has blocked me on all social media. Extended family members have taken sides, most of them quietly supportive once they heard the full story. But I sleep well at night. My savings account remains intact. My boundaries remain firm. And somewhere in Karen's house, There's a gold-plated key engraved with the number 500. A permanent reminder that family isn't about how much you're willing to sacrifice. It's about mutual respect, and respect, unlike a presidential suite in Santorini, cannot be purchased. If this story resonated with you, smash that like button and drop a comment about your own family boundary battles. Subscribe for more revenge stories that prove standing your ground is always worth it. Remember, the price of your self-respect should never be negotiable, not even for family. See you in the next one.